shorter one. We'll see. See kind of how the day progresses here. But yeah, I wanted to go over and kind of finalize the teams here for the AI tournament kind of thing. So if you didn't hear about this, the general plan is kind of like this. It's going to be the same thing as I did last year to some degree, wherein we use the multiplayer function here to essentially kind of set up a AI arena of sorts. To give you an idea here, basically this is what we're working with. So pretty much with all these things, you have particular challenge parties that you make. So like, let's say I have a bunch of teams put together down here. Let's skip down to the bottom here, right? So I've got 6 different saves made so far. You can name them pretty much whatever you want. So in this case, I was just naming them after the respective games and stuff that they came from. So it defaults to whatever name you had on there. So the team that I was using was originally to celebrate that One Vision was playable on the Vita finally, so it was the Vita cake. But anyhow, pretty much the mechanics for how this works, you know, we'll just go over that first. So if you make any units, they're here exactly as they were in game. However, for the sake of the arena, they're automatically leveled up to 50. Now, this was a problem in the base game because even though they were leveled up to 50, this didn't mean that it unlocked all their skills per se. Like you could unlock. Okay, I should take a step back. You could use any skill in the game. Like as soon as you were making them for the AI arena, you could just automatically say, okay, they get rank 4 of everything, right? However, if they didn't have the points, they still didn't have the points. So you couldn't completely customize them, but either way. So if you didn't grind up like 20,000 points, you weren't getting all the skills or whatever. Next up, you are still limited by whatever inventory you had in that particular save. In this case, you know, everybody has everything, so, you know, cheats definitely help with that. But either way, the modded version, even the new modded classes and stuff like that, still work just fine. So, like for example, right here we have the Sekiro team. So we'll just, like if we just slap them together here, and each of their skills will add to this little point system on the right. It's relatively accurate, though stuff can still go weird. Like, you can still see some really low-ranking teams pulling wins out when they even technically shouldn't have. But it seems like even when added skills are attached to a weapon, it seems to still just calculate that they have that skill, period. So it's more accurate than you might think. But anyhow. So, like, let's say, you know, we've got the Sekiro team over here. What kind of stuff can you do with them? Well, obviously, you've still got your standard old, you know, going through and putting everybody together. This is the last point when editing your team that you have to be able to edit their skills and equipment. It's a bit of a frustrating thing, because, yeah, you can get all the way through making your AI team and then realize you equipped somebody wrong, and then, yeah, then you're just kind of SOL and gotta start over from scratch. So, like, right here, I'm fairly certain about these guys being done. This isn't going to be the final version of these, by the way. This is just for the sake of showing it. So yeah, it's looking all right here. So we go over here, we go and pretend to save it. So let's see, let's go ahead and save it over here. Actually, wait a minute. Let's go all the way up here, because I'm missing some team saves. What's going on with this? There we go. Yeah, so I was just missing some team saves here, that's fine. So then it gives you this kind of save file, right? So you got this little layout here. You can change the party name, so we'll go ahead and change this to Sekiro, because that's what these guys are about. So if you missed the post when this was originally announced, the theme of this particular tournament was just to name a team from an RPG that you want to see remade in the mod, and then the plan was just to remake them and just kind of see how it goes. So I tried to remake them, you know, with, well, as much semblance of balance as I could. There were quite a few of them. There's actually a couple that I haven't gotten to that we'll try to get done during the course of this stream, simply because they were games I hadn't heard of, so maybe somebody else has. Also, by the way, might have improved quality in the future. Got a little camera dealy, so we'll see if that looks better, a little bit less washed out and crazy blurry and all that. Either way, so you know, we can change their name here. You get a choice of a ton of different maps for them to go on, so I tried to go for a relatively fitting one on each of them. So let's see. Port Town, maybe not so much. Need something kind of chaotic and eastern looking for these guys. Maybe Chrysero? Slightly? Yeah, let's see. I'm liking Chrysero for them. Kind of liking Justice, because it kind of looks like that whole ice area. Phydock? You know what? Maybe Phydock. That'd be pretty cool. Interestingly enough, whatever map you choose for them, they'll actually start off on the attackers and not the defenders' end. So in this case, if you tell them, like, your map is the Phydock Castle here, the attackers will start inside the castle, whereas the actual team that's using that as their main map will show up on the bottom right there. It's weird, but, you know, whatever works, I guess. So I can't really say they're super balanced or anything, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. Yeah, you know what? I'm thinking either. Let's see, probably either Andorus 1 over here, or maybe the bridge. Man, there's a lot of bridges in that game. Hugo would be proud. All right, now their AI. So their AI, regardless of what they were in the save, will automatically be set to melee. So if you want to set up an AI versus AI fight, you can set up two teams like this. However, whatever team you personally choose will use the save game's AI, whereas the team that you're technically fighting in this case, so like we'll just refer to them as Team A. So Team A is the one that will always be the computer, and then Team B is yours technically. But all right, so Team A, yeah, will always be under whatever AI you tell them here, while Team B will use either. Actually, no. Team B will use whatever AI you set them to before, like in the original save file. So what I like to do is just go into Reason Way, put whatever team out there, set their AI, let them run a few rounds just to make sure everything's functioning, and then go on from there. So, alarm's going off. My bad. So yeah, that's about that. So like for example, with these guys, let's see, you're definitely going to be. Well, let's just say you for melee. Let's say you for Vanguard. Actually, no, you should be Vanguard. Probably pretty cautious. So, let's see. Owl seems like he's a melee sort. You're going to be a rear guard because you shouldn't even be here. And yes, Kuro got remain as a pumpkin head. Kind of had to. Genichiro definitely would be frontliner here. Let's say Vanguard for the Sculptor. And then for Tengu, yeah, probably also Vanguard. Seems like these two would be fighting together. Mild spoilers if you happen to have started but somehow not finished Sekiro by this point and are super into the plot. So as far as interesting features go, we have the map there, we have their AI. You may have noticed those little battle cry things. Oh, hi there, Mr. Foles. How's it going? Didn't expect to see you here today. So yeah, we're messing around with the multiplayer, finishing up all of the teams I was talking about earlier. So yeah, the interesting thing about this multiplayer thing is you can actually set a surprising amount of commands for them here. So you get eight triggers and eight wordings here. So who did we select first? What are we looking for here? There we go. So let's say we set this guy. If he, literally any one of these, it's amazing. They give you pretty much all the scripts that the game uses as far as what can actually happen to them. Which makes me wonder if some of these were maybe meant to be used, in the actual game. Like, for example, right here, if they block somebody, they can taunt them for blocking somebody. If their first turn comes up, you see that used all the time. If they're the only survivor of their team, they'll mention something, which that one gets used. If they're charmed, if they're poisoned, if they're made faster, there's so many little nice things that you can shove in there, Like, if they target specific things, you could probably say night night or something if they're targeting somebody that's asleep, because presumably they're feeling very evil about it. It's weird that there's so much stuff in here. Let's see. Yeah, it would be nice if they let these for single player. I'm okay. I was talking to let's see. Insane. Instead of the awesome AI we got. Yeah, I've been abusing some of that awesome AI for some of my runs lately. It's hilarious. The Andorus 1. And hell, a lot of the harder fights technically in the mod, it's just yeah, let's just sit here and then the leader will run right ahead of everybody and just die. It's great. It's here's this guy with all his increased stats. Yeah, we're just gonna block off the stairway and shoot him 50 times till he's dead. Just basically reenact RoboCop with every leader. It's pretty much what the luck run was. But yeah, there's so many options here. Like there's so much more than there needed to be. And you can put whatever you want here, by the way. They give you a bunch of canned responses, which of course they do. You know, a good bit of them anyway. Feels like you could probably go really weird with some of these. I don't really know why you'd even go with these when you can literally put whatever you want, as long as it's within 24 characters. So you want to cancel, so yeah, gonna go ahead and cancel out of that. Yeah, let's go ahead and cancel this one, because I want to do that one a little bit differently. As a good example, let's take the Xenonauts team. So, this team was made as a mix, I consider Xenonauts, XCOM, all that, I consider them RPGs still, because, you know, you'd still have a party, they still got stats, they're just way more expendable than you're used to seeing. So, let's see, some of those reactions are straight from FFT. Yeah, I mean, makes sense. I mean, they share a hell of a lot of stuff, so it definitely makes sense. Like, I remember in one of the interviews, like, he was saying something along the lines of, like, this game is an amalgamation of, like, what they wanted in FFT and what they wanted in the original SNES, and, like, I forget exactly how he put it. I'm sure you've seen the interview, but either way. It's like right here. This team was, like I said, meant to be Xenonauts here. So for battle cries like this one, like Dagar got killed off so many times in my campaign, as soon as he dies, it'll just say, Dagar has fallen. If you're, I was planning to just kind of go through these teams one by one, and just kind of see what people thought in terms of, you know, what should be updated on them, you know, if I just got something completely wrong, that kind of thing. So, yeah, let's just go ahead and view them here. So, like, for example, with Dagar here is, like, the standard, like, shield and stun baton guy. They've all got defender bands for the most part. So, yeah, like, he's just there to be with his shield. What was it? Negate spell for the sake of blocking all those laser beams that are coming his way. The Vikrant Ice Coat kind of looks very similar to their uniform, so I just went ahead and had that for their basic armor. What else here? The Hunter 001 is just gonna be a dragon. Why not? It was one of the faster dragons. It's, you know, feels like a pretty solid choice. And then for like the pistol and shield guys, I went ahead for sidearms here, so I went for like throwing javelins and all that. Let's see. Stuff carries from FF12, menus and transitions, and Vagrant Story with the Grimoires, and also with the finishers. Which I'm surprised, by the way. Like, the finishers, despite taking the names directly from Vagrant Story, man, almost none of them look the same or do the same thing. I don't even know why they bothered taking the names. It's like, they sound cool, granted, but it's like, they don't even kind of look similar. Like, I think it was a Ruination when used in Vagrant Story, because apparently... Am I the only guy that used spears in Vagrant Story? Because it seems like anytime I put up a video, they're like, wow, you actually use spears? Like, yeah, I like spears. What's wrong with spears? But yeah, like, you'd use Ruination in that one, and it was like just like a big old swing, just like chop smash kind of thing. And then the one in Tactics Ogre was a reference, as far as I could tell, a reference to Kuchulain. Like, actually, I mentioned that as the first thing in my article on the myths here. Because it seemed like a reference to the Guy Bulge, because it's just they're stabbing it, and then suddenly a bunch of, you know, extra spikes come out, which is kind of the Guy Bulge's whole thing. Which, by the way, if you've ever read one of the original versions of the Kuchulain story, that thing seems like the most inconvenient, like, mythological spear ever. Wait, there's also a Yu Yu Hakusho reference. There's a spirit one somewhere. Or hang on, the Ozma unique finisher. I did not know that. Okay. Gonna have to look that up at some point. Yeah, by the way, did you know Ozma and Oz are actually a reference to the Wizard of Oz? It's like, that's something that, I was talking to Vale, my author friend, and, yeah, didn't even know about that. There's like 30 Wizard of Oz books. Like, it's a whole long series. Yeah. Go figure, right? So... and by the way, no idea why they made her as she was, because as far as I could tell, the only connection was like the names between the two, and the fact that Ozma and the Wizard of Oz there has roses in her hair in like half the time, and then the other authors didn't do that. There's no ice theme. There's no like. I guess they're both royalty technically. it's a weird reference. There's a lot of little weird literary references. Actually, Jack Pumpkinhead is also one of the characters from that too. Though I'm not sure whether I'm not sure if that was meant to be a reference. It could be. Anyhow, getting back to this though. So yeah, all these characters, by the way, I have with scout helms for the free trajectory. You know, had for the pistol and shield guys, I just went with sidearms here. Just went specifically for the heavier variants. It seemed to be kind of like it, so it seemed pretty fitting. Okay, so for the basic rifleman, I went for the Cursed Fusel with its little burst fire thing, as well as, I believe I had an instill on them. No, I didn't. They don't have any weapon skills on these guys. They're just expected to fire and miss most of the time. They've got really heavy weapon, or really heavy damage, but they usually won't land it. Let's see, the animation and the name are similar to the Kurama attack. I will, hang on, I have to look up that dang video. Get over here, phone. Let's see this thing. Oh, whoops. I misspelled something and it brought up some kind of Indian music group. Alright. Wait, no, this is some... No, this is some Naruto crap. Hang on. One sec. Here it is. Here it is. Alright, it's some whole long fight, so presumably they're going to talk for 20 minutes. I'm just going to leave it in the background until something shiny shows up on my screen. Alright, so to go back to what each of these units are supposed to be referencing, let's see, we've got some over here that are meant to be like heavy gunners. So like, for example, the guys with the heavy crossbows and double shot. They're meant to be like the heavy gunners and all that. So yeah, and then the Fusiliers with the rifles, wherever the hell I put those. Did I remove those? I might have just removed those. Yeah, some of them are meant to be like snipers and all that. So there we go. So like, for example, that would be that team. They were over in Crisero because it kind of looks like that one map with the blocked off bridge area. Are you done modifying it? Sure. Let's see, what else do we got here? You know what? I might as well just go back and make new teams here because yeah, we might as well, right? Most of them are not actually locked into teams yet, because I wanted to kind of see if anybody had any objections to them first. So yeah, Vita Cake for the standard here. We'll change that later if needed. Alright, so what's this first one going to be then? Alright, so this one, what's it? What's it called? Live a Live. Have you ever played that one? Or Live Alive? One of those. Alright, so go over each of these one by one. And there we go. Here's the last one. Set their AI in a moment. But to go over the different skills here, to get their entire skill tree would have been impossible. So I kind of went for more of a theme-based thing for this team. Well, let's see. Someday I'll mess with the multiplayer to see if find a tactic to go away from the Archer and Deck spot. I see the speedrun of the PSP version even gave some love to mages with a front line of 4 hours. Yeah, pretty much. You basically had that moment of yeah, you had to come in with Cragfall 3, I think that was what they were going with, and then just basically used a whole bunch of Earth abilities. I don't know if they actually augmented them. I missed that part. Oh, you know what? That actually does look really similar now that you mention it. Just saw the thing come up. Alright. Alright. Gonna have to put that on the list. Maybe it was, as far as references go. It's alright. As far as the different abilities, he had some kind of stopping ability, so I referenced that with Petra Breath here. The Masmune has heal, because he has some minor healing abilities. Other than that, he's like a basic sword fighter kind of guy. For our Lakugo here, they were supposed to be the strong, punchy chick, but they were meant to be really fast, so anyway, they were given a Void Ring to speed them up a bit. Double fists for the sake of that double fisting action. Went for this one because as far as Seal Evil goes, it seems like the kind of thing they would do because, you know, Buddhism and all of that was part of their character. The shoes have the warp ability, but they won't use it. Interestingly enough, the AI does not know how to use Warp. It does not know how to use a lot of the secondary item abilities. I believe it's, they'll use Hover, they'll use, let's see, they'll use Cloud Walk, they'll use Wind Walk, but they won't use Warp, they won't use Water Walk or Lava Walk for some reason. I have a feeling it's because they would get stuck on certain areas and they just didn't want to mess with that. Let's see, low-level augment would be a time-waste menu, unless miss and low-effort choker on the main game. Yeah, I mean, pretty much. The way that it went, like, as far as I saw it, they just had better damage coming out of those casters if they went and specifically used them on the end twins. Most of the rest of the time, it seemed like they were just using them for the sake of free paradigm shifts. I think they ran them naked to make them faster, but I forget exactly. Like, there was a lot of really little stuff. So it seemed optimized like all hell, and then it just was just up to RNG as to whether or not paradigm shift hit. Alright, so going over these ones here, again, a lot of the fist moves line up pretty well with what her usual skills were in-game, so I just left her with fist skills. For Pogo, you know, he's just a caveman that hits stuff really good with an axe, so that's about it with him. For Masaru here, he was supposed to be the strongest guy in the world, so he's given the strongest fist weapon, he's given the strongest strength-boosting armor that isn't Ogre, and this kind of looks like a gi, so that works. I know it's supposed to be like a Gusaku or whatever, but whatever. I think that's how it's pronounced. And alright, yeah, Hellforge for the sake of the extra bonus, and Seal of Might for the extra strength as well. So he is the actual strongest. Given Fists, obviously, because he kind of needs them. Parry and Overpower, because again, he's supposed to be the strong guy, it's ridiculously strong. The strong guy that's ridiculous, yeah. Welcome to the Department of Redundancy Department. So yeah, this seemed like a pretty okay build for him. He seemed like a bit of a crazy fist fighter, let's go that way. So he's just all about throwing his fists around all over the place. So for Sundown, gave him the Solace, because he's got his double shot ability. Cloud Kill, because it kind of looked like one of his big boom moves there. So, you know, seemed alright. I really, really wanted to go for a Rogue for him, just because of the whole trap element and all that. So he's really fast and really weak defensively, so he's just given a Scout Helm and Feather Coat. Skill-wise, there we go, got Barricades, because again, he's putting up traps, so I figured it was relatively fitting. I left the booby traps on him, just because, you know, he spends a lot of the game booby trapping stuff. Sharpshoot, Tactician, and all that, just so he can use some of his fancy gun moves. If you're wondering why everybody comes at rank 1, by the way that I run this is that we use the faster level up thing. So every time somebody gets a hit, they actually level up. And the reason that I do this is so that we have this kind of like momentum sort of fight. So it starts off pretty basic, everybody's using their basic attacks and everything. And then by the end of it, you know, you get to see all the different finishers, all the different augments that people had will cause them to use different finishers. Actually, one of the nice things I've been seeing a lot more of with the mod now is just due to the relatively lower damage. If somebody has a particular augment, you can cause the AI to use a particular finisher more often. So it's definitely been nice to have that kind of control on there. All right, let's see. There's little reason to equip an over-leveled mage as they're exploiting the XP gain, as we all know. I know I lose time for a speedrun because I need the Dragoons for the post-game. Do you actually put in the post-game into... is there a post-game speedrun? Like, is there a, like a lands kill speedrun? That sounds fun. Let's see, Farampa with level scaling is the challenge of the game if you're going for all titles. Wait, there's actually an all-title speedrun now? Like, is that an actual speedrun category? Because I'm curious if anybody else tried that. Because, like, I watched most of your run. I will admit there were a lot of times where I looked at it and I'm like, let's skip a couple hours. Because, man, that was a long run. Like, I remember there was one bit, like, weren't you stuck in a forest for, like, 3.5 hours looking for a crossbow? Like, it was going on a bit. It went on a bit at times. Something like that. It was something like that. Alright, so going on through the characters here. Like, these ones carried over pretty well, I feel. Let's see, they skipped at the New Game Plus, or they stopped the New Game Plus, yeah. Personally, my favorite run, like, whenever I actually get through to it, is just, like, One-Eyed Night Slayer. Because that's, like, you go all the way to the very end, and then you still have to have put enough training into your top 3. Well, I mean, main 3. I'll be honest, honestly, I almost never use Casual and Vice out of choice. They just kind of happen to be needed for the story. Let's see, because, exactly how fun is it, the extras? Well, in vanilla, I agree. Like, I will say with a mod, just doing, like, new game to, just to the end of the main story has been pretty satisfying so far. Just because there's a lot less that you get out of, like, level abuse and stuff like that. Wow, Ty, hi. You feeling okay over there, bud? And Pug's over there coughing up a lung. But yeah, so I will say that's probably one of the big draws. One of the things that like drew me to the mod was just I wanted to do runs of this game. I love the mechanics. I love like the story, everything about it. But then every time I would try to do a run of the main game, it's like, well, here's like 50 billion exploits to make the main story not matter. And then the post game requires actual optimization. Like, what happened? What happened? And I finally know the whole story at least. Because, yeah, originally the main story was harder. In the Japanese version, it's a bit harder because there's more stats flying around. Then the rest was DLC, and then they scaled everything for the DLC, but then they didn't have time to fully, like, rebalance the story, and, yeah. Like, I feel let's see. If they needed to rebalance the story, really all they would need to do is just readjust the experience rate. Because there's at least... Well, no, they would have had to redo crafting, too, and everything. Whatever. The mod took care of it. Whatever. Moving on. Okay, so Orsted. Next guy here. Yeah, the hour-long grinds, that too. Personally, I just set everybody to AI and watch them repeatedly go and wash over Tynemouth. Let's see. There were times they were needed. Yep. Yeah, definitely once you hit the level 40 walls, too. Like, that was always really disheartening. Like, once you, like, you started really going in the post-game, then you got to your, like, mid-20s. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna go explore that DLC, and then you get to the end of any of the DLC areas, and they're like, no! It's like, 40! You need to be 40, piss off! It's great. I don't know what they were thinking there, like, oh, no, when you're, like 17, 18, coming into Chapter 4, and they're like, no, you need to be 25 to go save Azelston. Time to go grind. Like, man, why would you do this? Why are these pirates so much stronger than any other army? What is their secret? It's like, just like a bunch of pirates, just like, they're not alcoholics, they're just sitting there, like, popping protein shakes, just, like, putting, like, 100-pound weights on their battle axes, like, yeah, they'll come here one day. They'll come here one day and we'll be ready. We'll find some random drunk guy, we'll get in a brawl, and then we'll just accidentally usurp the king. That's how that goes. Alright. So, I was getting to Orsted. So, I figured the Caliburn here with the fire element, if you play the game, feels fitting. Also, he gets a damage bonus versus Angels. Over here, Charm Ward, because he doesn't get to be with his wife. It's sad how well this lined up. I didn't make it this way. Speed Star, because I think he has a speed up move. Let's see, the worst part of the game is how the Pirate's Graveyard, how the game makes the Pirate's Graveyard door grave, yeah. Yeah, like, when you get there, even when you go there in the post-game, just like, oh yeah, I'm all leveled up, I'm gonna go do it now, and then they're all leveled up. They've got all their worm scale, and you have your endgame gear that can't pierce it. It's like, man, like, why do they have such good armor? And then you finally get that Falcon Feather Coat or whatever in the very first map after, like, grinding it out with the Dragoons for ages. Because that first map, you can cheese it. Like, you can use Dragoons on the on all the Octopus stuff, and you get, what dude? And then, oh yeah, and then you get, what's it? You can use all your Exorcists and Boulders and whatever else for all the other stuff. Does the least of the problems? Yeah, fair enough. I mean, granted, the entire Azelston DLC has a hell of a lot of maps that you just can't use without Oh yeah, the absurd octopus. Yeah, the friggin' kraken that refuses to die to anything but a dragoon. Yep, that thing's fun, isn't it? Yeah, that's like that moment of like, oh, you didn't train a crossbow dragoon. Well, all right, have fun with that one. All right, finishing up with this right here. Yeah, so he's got a stun thing, he's got a defender thing. There we go. That's Orsted. It feels fitting for Orsted. That's kind of his old character, I feel. All right. Yeah, the palette swap stuff is mostly pretty harsh. I will say they took away their super armor and stuff like that in the mod, which has made that a lot smoother. Like it does make it that you can actually fight them with other stuff. I think they've got like 150 extra health and some extra attack power, but by and large the palette swaps are usually just like a little bit tougher rather than just like this random screw you moment. So that's always fun. Like, I love how even if you do manage to get past all that stuff at low level, you just can't use any of the drops that you get. So you're still several levels underneath it. Alright, so for Cube here, he had a bunch of different weird moves. So I just went ahead and went for the entire Warden set. So the Warden's one of the new classes that was added. So it's the unique standard Pumpkinhead class now. So Anatomy, Counterhead, Charge Resonance for his Charge Beam kind of thing. Crystal Pumpkin for his kind of laser-looking situation, and then like the Pumpkin abilities mostly lined up with his heal, his small attack, and then his big boom kind of thing. It seemed about fitting. Gave him claws and a relatively beefy set because he's kind of tougher. He's on the tougher side. All right. Let's see here. I think from a standpoint of waiting for new content, it makes sense for content to be hard, but with all the game's DLC, they should have been balanced. From what I understand, they tried. Like, they did the best that they could without redoing the entire game, because they had to individually place every single unit in the game. They had a low scaling and a high scaling, with 23 generally being the window where it ended up scaling up. And the problem was that they, I guess, could only use 2 categories there. So I guess they figured that there wouldn't be a lower category, and then they just put everything towards the upper one for some reason or other. I think Rick said that he was gonna lower that particular fight down to like actual 18 or so. Like in the mod, it doesn't matter that much because you can still do damage. Like pretty much once you get past level 10, everything kind of just smooths out. So most of your classes are more or less just where they are. And then it's mostly their equipment and skills that make the difference. But yeah, no. Like it's weird that they expect anyone to get there. Though again, I should explain. It's not. And maybe it wasn't even that. I think it was just the Japanese version. You would have had a chance. And actually, when I tested it, by the way, surprisingly difficult to actually get a hold of a version with all the DLCs with the Japanese stuff. But in the Japanese version, because you had a lot higher stats by that point, the level difference doesn't matter nearly as much. Because, yeah, in the US version, the base stats barely grow. Given DLCs. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, they made all of it or they made all of the main game mostly balanced, and then they made the DLCs, and then they tried to counterbalance it, so that you would go through all the content and just be growing the entire time. Because you were expected to have like base stats in the 80s by the original of the base game. Like 60s to 80s seemed to be the average on the couple runs I did of that one. Let's see, DLCs are at least easy to put up on PSP emulator. Exactly. So to pretend that we're still going on about this team here. So for here they seem to. Well, this was the kind of ninja-y sort of guy, the weirdly flamboyant ninja. Gave him Speed Star off the Reaver Ring, Galvanize off the Thunder Fists, and then, yeah, from here he's just kind of just punching things, because he's another punchy guy. There's 3 punchy guys in that team. They really like punching in that game. And yeah, Double Strike, Mighty Strike, figured it seems about fitting. And there we go, that's that team. Let's see, good luck with NDS. That's the joys of emulation, right? By the way, speaking of weird technical things, you know what's funny? It turns out with Kashua, you cannot actually get rid of her even when she's dead in Chapter 4. So just a random thing. But yeah, you can't get rid of her. I literally tried killing her off and scavenging her skills. She would not die. She would not die at all. And this is, by the way, post coronation. Like this is after coronation and everything else. Just yeah, she can't be removed. Got to beat the game to get rid of Kashua. That's I guess they just, I don't know, they just put her in a box or something. They're like, oh well, the king refuses to get rid of her, and as she's just still in the box as a zombie, it's like still somehow railroading the plot. Even when she's dead, she doesn't stop. Alright, so I guess we should probably make these guys a team, huh? Vice too? Oh, didn't know about that. I usually don't get Vice, that's probably why. I don't know, something about Vice is just that I would not trust him on the team. Alright, let's go Vanguard for most of these. With the AI, I'm typically going to go for Melee or Vanguard on most. If you've never messed around with this, basically for the AI and all that kind of thing, Melee will just always charge forward. Vanguard will always try to stay behind the melee characters and try to hold your whatever it uses the front line. So the AI seems to view all of your party as like a cube. So whatever the average front of your party is, that's where the Vanguard will stay. The rear guard will stay at the back of that. The ranged characters will always try to stay behind the Vanguard, but will not try to advance if they can't get a shot. And then the casters will do the same thing, but with magical stuff, and then the healers will, try to do the same thing with healing. However, with healers and the rear guard, they also have a limitation on their AI that they're not allowed to attack every other turn. Presumably that just makes them better at their job or something. I don't know. Hang on just one moment. Alrighty, and back. Sorry for leaving it on the stutter again. Yeah, if you're ever wondering why that's happening, you basically have you've got a couple different different windows going on here. Every time that I defocus off the PPS's PP one, So the emulator here, it just starts doing like an why won't you pay attention to me kind of thing. Yeah, it's weird. Yeah. Wait, they need to die as units, but they did die as units. That's the thing. They died. They died real good, and they're like, no, our corpses refuse to live. We're too stubborn. See, Rick's got a team and is reverse engineering the game. I was wondering what kind of stuff you can find out, like finding out that a cursed weapon in the second hand is actually useless. Made me sad to test and see it for myself. Yeah. I know, that one really sucked too, because that was like the Knight of Lotus strat right there, that you just give somebody dual Snapdragons and they've just got maxed out stats in everything. It was just beautiful. Like, the friggin' fairy run was like, gave a fairy 2 Snapdragons, the Firecrest, and an Ogre Helm. He did normal damage! Oh, that was in Knight of Lotus, though. That was like with maxed out stats. That the rubber banding in Knight of Lotus is so much so that, like, even with every possible advantage, a fairy will still do, like, barely above normal damage. But it turns out that there was actually a hidden bonus. It's almost 300 stats, yeah. Well, okay, so, but that was the thing, though. Like, in Knight of Lotus, like, it maxed out everything. It maxed out all the characters' stats, though. Because I had maxed out 3 different characters. I maxed out Steve, so the head fairy there. I maxed out a giant, gave him every attack emblem possible. And then just like maxed out all of his everything. Put him up to max level. Took a sword master for the insta kill proc. Went and maxed him out as well, and then Snapdragon both of them. Gave them to this fairy. So it was basically 3 maxed out characters in one. And then yeah, it rubber banded so hard that. Oh no! There was a way around it. That's what I was trying to get at. It turns out fairy kisses in that game, which I was meaning to find out if maybe it was a hidden bonus in this game too. But it turns out that the fairy, like, give you another turn kiss move was supposed to be trying to reference OB64, because in OB64, they specifically say, like, okay, it boosts their level by 1. And it turns out that this will go above the level cap. It turns out that same thing happens in Knight of Lotus when used with the like, resetting somebody's turn move. So you basically could just go and use that over and over, and every single time, they would get extra damage as if they got 1 extra level above the level cap. So I was doing that about 4 times per turn, so they were like, okay, they're getting 15, now they're getting 16, now they're getting 70, now they're getting 80, like, why? Why does it keep doing that? It doesn't say it anywhere. So it was just fun to find out. But yeah. Actually, you know what? I think I'm gonna make Sundown the rear guard. It doesn't feel like he'd want to stay in the melee much. But yeah, he's been reverse engineering and, like, data mining the game and finding out all kinds of stuff. Like, it turns out the, like, as far as the way stuff's stored in the game, you can tell, like, early on, everything was all organized, everything was all nice and where it should be and going by chapter. And then, like, halfway through the game and then into the DLC, they're just like, just throw it somewhere, just put it everywhere. That's why a lot of stuff, like, for example, how there was Invisible Donalto for a while, and also, wow, I think I just moved some stuff and messed up the camera here. But, like, Invisible Donalto and stuff is just because they hid it. Like, it's just somewhere. That one instance of his sprite being different, for whatever reason, is just kind of who knows where. Like, it was ultimately figured out, because apparently people preferred the red version to the Old Drunk Dad version. I personally preferred Old Drunk Dad, but whatever. But yeah, no. So, like, for example, with that one, it's just hidden God knows where. With the multiplayer stuff, apparently there's very few details that are actually found. Or at least it doesn't seem like it's been explored very much. So, like, for example, there's one code that I know of that allows you to correct the multiplayer showing in the wrong order, because apparently that's a problem somebody had. Other than that, though, I haven't seen any kind of codes come up for you know, endgame and all that. Vice and Cash when not dying, maybe it's a glitch of the patch. No, it's in both versions. I tested it. I don't know. It's something in that particular timeline, I think. Like, I think it's if you're in endgame chapter 4 or postgame chapter. No, you know what it is? I think it might be if you're in Coda, because all these save files are in Coda, and she would be one of the required characters, so it might be just to avoid breaking the game or something. Because I'm assuming it has something along the lines of like, oh, you can only be in this section of Coda if this character exists. Because those chapters only open up if they're there, so it could be something along those lines. No idea for sure, but if I were to hazard a guess, that'd probably be something like that. Alright, Cube, you're going to be rear guard. Akira here is going to be vanguard. Actually, no, you're going to be melee, I think. Unfortunately, there's no flanker option. I wish there was. But no such luck. So that's looking about right. So we'll go ahead and save that party. Yeah, live alive. Or live alive. Because these guys got updated. This killing Kashra gives you a side quest on Chapter 4. Yeah, you got the shotgun originally that way. I remember that much. But like, this one wasn't Chapter 4 though. It was specifically post Coda. There we go. And now we're gonna change their map a little bit. Do we have anything that's straight on a hill? I think we'll do Bode Fortress. It kind of looks like the once you unlock the final chapter, it kind of looks like that mountain, I feel. So we'll just go Bode for them. It may not be perfect, but whatever. We'll set some battle cries for them later if anyone wants to share them. Let's see, maybe they forgot to give a game over? Maybe. Maybe. Yeah, that would actually probably explain it if they meant to let you have a game over at that point. Like, they did miss some stuff in the DLCs. Like, for example, if you go to Pirate's Grave, and let's see, Pirate's Grave, parts of Sambronza, let's see, there was... Oh, bless you. You okay? You doing good? You want a snack? Need another snack? Okay. Alright, kiddo needs another snack real quick, so I'm gonna go do that. But yeah, they missed a couple parts where you actually can get an instant game over because Denim is no longer immune to gravity. Because yeah, like I've had several cases where I just gamed over because I forgot on those maps and then just got randomly crit off a cliff. Alright, one sec, be right back. Oh man, that professionalism. I was leaving this on the stutter screen, dang it. It's almost like I'm very forgetful or something. I don't know. I think I might make the luck team into a team just out of curiosity. Interesting note, by the way. I really expected to run out of team slots before finishing off all the teams. Turns out that yeah, there's just as many team saves as everything else. Alright, so this will be the order of 7, despite the fact that there's 12. Man, I just cannot believe how well that went. Oh man, there was just no reason for that to go as well as it did. Alright, let's see. Melee. Yes, actually no, you should be Vanguard. Because usually we're just kind of hanging back and doing all that kind of business. Let's see, you're ranged. You are melee. Hopefully they'll actually use Tyrannico. Ranged, 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 ranged. Man, I just love the rebalanced ninjas so much. They're so good. They're so handy. See, another thing I'm curious about is awareness of cursed weapons, why they destroy almost every map obstruction, and the logic behind elemental and damage type randomization. So, it turns out for that one, it's cursed weapons specifically use some different calculation. He actually reapplied that calculation to shots in the mod, so that they basically blow up obstacles, but they're not necessarily super great against anything but squishies. So basically old-timey grenades. But yeah, the what's it? Let's see. As far as the randomization of damage and elemental types, are you referring to like the random small numbers, or the or like the weird random double skills everybody came with? Alright, you know what? I think I'm going to put these guys in the Archaeopolis. There we go. Let's go ahead and save that party right there. Save it real good. Probably save it down here at the bottom, just to keep it away from everything else. Go down to the very bottom. There we go. We'll just save you right there. That sounds like a pretty good spot. Alright, new challenge party. Let's... Ooh, didn't mean to hit that button. Oh no, wait, hang on. Need this. No, wait, this. There we go. Fixed it. Fixed it. The elements and the damage type of weapon that will have a fire/crush. Oh, that's based off of their elemental augments, their class, and their personal preferences. So, for example, pretty much everybody ran anatomy, so they almost always came up with a human damage bonus. But it was based off whatever skills they had, so like if they had a bunch of augments, I believe it was like, if they didn't have any, it would default to a certain class. Like I remember Rune Fencer was Divine, which I guess they just knew, because it was pretty overpowered as Divine. Well, I mean, it was functional as Divine, it was kind of iffy as everything else. But yeah, if I recall, there are specific guides for that kind of thing, like it would take what they knew, it would take their weapon skill, it would, and then it would just kind of add it up to some certain percentage based off how good it was. Plus, it would take whatever weight they had at the time. So, if you put them naked and gave them a fire crest, yeah, you would just basically get a weapon that had negative weight. Or, I forget if it was negative weight or like 1 weight or something like that. It would take 10 off of it, I knew that much. So you're mentioning that augments didn't affect anything? That's weird. The one that I read was saying that it was it had a particular element for a particular class, and then this was for original PSP. Yeah, the cursed weapon has 0 weight when you first get it, and then it gets a weight based off the RT or the recovery time of the character. Yeah, the RT. Really. Something like that. Either way, whatever. It makes you faster if you have the fire crest. I know that much, and especially if they're naked when you're making it. All right, Breath of Fire 3. I already made into a team here, so let's move on with that one. Like it was a whole cluster clock. It was unnecessarily complicated. I think we can all agree on that one. All right, so we got Wild Arms next. Let's put your little bird thing back there. Yeah, the only one that I haven't that I've actually have on here that I wound up redoing is actually Super Mario RPG, because I was finding conflicting information as to what the character's actual skills are. So where CF enters, it lowers the RT later. Yeah. You mean the FC? I'm assuming. And the WC is 0 even after that. I just swore it was like 12 or something on the ones I just did. Alright. So, let's go over the Wild Arms team real quick here. So yeah, first off, Rudy. I know he's technically got a sword and all that, but I was trying to go for more of how the character played in, the kind of different references that they could have. So I went for their gun as their main weapon instead of a sword. Went for a lobber because of their grenade abilities. I went for Flamecoat because it kind of looks like him. Went for the snipe bracers because of the ability to stun, which apparently was on his move list. And then an immunity to stun because I figure he's a robot, maybe he wouldn't get stunned so good. Got Fusel skills and Filled Alch 2 for him. For Garrett, I was specifically told to use a one-handed katana. So there we go. There we go. So he's got 1 HK, got his sweet trench coat, got his wing robes, mostly for or wing boots for the sake of the avoidance bonus. Seal of Might to make him hit real good, and to give him a little bit of extra beefiness. I didn't want to go full vigor on him because it didn't seem fitting, but a Seal of Might was a good little medium there. He doesn't get Field Alch 1 anymore. I meant to give that to him, but yeah, Swordmasters don't have Field Alch 1 anymore. Deflect, because of course he's getting a little bit of a... Well, he was supposed to get a little bonus because he originally had 2 HKs, but he does seem to have the ability to deflect in-game katanas because of course. Overpower seemed pretty fitting, blade focus and preamps because again he does seem to have the ability to stun, and counter hit because he seems to counter, or at least it seems like he would counter. Wait, Link works? Yeah, Links work. Links work just fine. Feel free to post whatever you need. I was actually working on putting together like a little old database of just any kind of guides for any kind of thing for either version of Tactics Ogre, or well, any version of any of the Tactics Ogres really. Just because it feels like a lot of them are all over the friggin' place. So, all right, let's look at that list or that link, or let's look at it over here. In fact. Oops, how did that come up? Alright. Sorry, it'll be just a sec. I can't remember where I even have Twitch on this thing. I think I took Twitch off my phone because it kept giving me weird things. Yeah, the reason I was wondering about that WT is because I literally just finished a run of vanilla, and I did the whole 12 commander fight and everything. I was kind of annoyed because I failed the Iron Man part of that run right at Candace, so right at the friggin' finish line. I still can't believe they went with a name like Candace. It's like oh, the ultimate guard of this second seal to hell over here. It's Candace from accounting! Such a weird name. Alright, what are we going for here? 3 massive downloads of the next version of X Division. Well, okay. So well and nifty. Where did I put Twitch, though? Where are you at? You're exactly somewhere. Why is everything always exactly somewhere? There we go. There we go. I found it. Found it real good. But no, the reason that it's funny. A lot of normal people names come out of nowhere. Yeah, especially like misspelled in what can only be described as all ghetto-like and everything. Like you got to go for a really, really fancy spelling of a really common name, kind of thing. All right. Can you repost that link? Because it doesn't show up where I am right now, because it just opened up the latest chat. Alright, Celia here. Got a whole bunch of different magically abilities, as you can see. Magic-wise, there we go. She has some stuff that she can't actually use. I went ahead and replaced it with other stuff. So she can use Heal 2 and all that. Some of the stuff is just kind of here for the sake of flavor, really. Originally, I was going for a completely different build on her, but then I ended up going for this. So it should be relatively close to what she has. She has that whole water stick thing, so I had to give her the water wand. Had to go for the fancy dress, gave her some water scaling, as well as tidal waders. Oh, by the way, why do you keep calling it the CF? CFC, dang it. Let's see, the RT delay, and the lack of clothes too. Yep. Dawn Piano, huh? Long Johnson. You named your sword Long Johnson. Oh no. Jeez. Wait, was this actually from that run? I don't remember these. I love how the cursed weapon is just there for the instrument. Like, I got the cursed instrument in my last run, too. I'm like, well, got a choice of her being really, really bad as a songstress, or she can be, like, a friggin', like, jet fighter over here as an oracle. Like, that seems, that's a hard choice right there. Oh. One moment, please. Oh, bye, controller. Alright, I managed to accidentally cause a permanent speed up again somehow. How did that happen? Weird. Okay. Weird. Let's go ahead and restart this. There we go, reset. So let's see, that was a 1300 plus hour save file on the EU version. I wonder what the actual differences are between those different ones. Actually, let me just cancel out of this entirely. It just seems permanently stuck on fast forward, even more so than the usual fast forward glitch, which is probably just due to my control scheme, to be fair. So you name weapons based off the cat. That's why I was really sad when I found out they actually didn't work together and shield would be better. Oh. Yeah. Was pretty bummed out to find out that didn't work. I mean, on the one hand I understand, but on another, like by that point, damage, like pretty much all balance is so far out the window that it doesn't even matter. So why'd they bother? Like there were a lot of little moments where they went for so many little details, and then like the first question that came to mind was always just like, why did you bother with this? Like pretty much everything about the songstress class, right? Like unique skill set, unique weapon, unique everything. It's like, but they're not very good. It's like, why would you go all the way through Palace of the Dead to get a like the cursed guitar, and like it's just not very good. You sacrifice a unit with max stats, and okay, they'll become functionally invincible, but even then, like, hang on, what's this bonus on this? Well, actually, come to think of it, yeah, with maxed out stats, 120 is really damn good. But, okay, without max stats, you're averaging still about, like, 40 to 50 for their actual attack power. Alright. Seems that was an anti-piracy thing? Wait, what? Why would that be an anti-piracy thing? I'm vaguely aware of the whole Don Piano thing, but only vaguely. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What I do know is that, out of curiosity, I had specific characters set aside who were kind of functioning as sidekicks to my main characters over the course of my last run there. With so they had their rank 8s in their main weapons, and they were like 5 or 6 and everything else. Like this was about a 200-hour run by the time it got to the end. It ended at exactly 222 minutes or 222 hours and 22 minutes. And like I think I saved it right before it ticked over to 23, which is pretty fun. Maybe the eye was so close protected. I don't know how would that deter piracy whatsoever though. So most of the tactics Ogre ISOs you were fair enough. I wonder, out of curiosity, is that why my my downloaded version seems to fire arrows faster than the patched version? Because I've tried a few different versions. Just you know, I was going through and testing out what the different version differences were. And so, for example, like in some of them, it seemed like arrows fired obnoxiously slow. Like, granted, it was still nowhere the speed of the version in of like One Vision or whatever, where it's just like basically realistic speed. But when I went to the downloaded PSN version, the arrows, for whatever reason, fired faster than the other one, which is weird. Or the first RAM dump needed one. No idea. I'm sure a lot of them came out of some pretty nitty-gritty situations. Alright, anyway, back to allegedly making teams here. I'll make it at some point, I promise. You know what, actually, let's go for some of the other ones that people were asking for real quick here. Alright, so the FFT team. The FFT team is a bit of an interesting story here, so let's go do it this way. So I went for a mix of a few different references with this team, just because it was kind of a mix of personal preference and just general weirdness, and it looks like I actually forgot some of the changes that I had made. So first off, this one is actually supposed to be a Seal of Might. So what I went for with Ramza here was actually just preference based off of my recent run through with the Cerebel mod, where it was just, I don't know, it was just really fun to have him running around in, like, well, pretty much exactly this gear and then 2 hammers, which I think this was supposed to be the Titania. Okay, thank you, a reminder on my phone. Yeah, this was supposed to be Titania. Alright. So yeah, it was like a tank set plus 2 hammers. Oh, thank you for the host there, Spiro. Appreciate it. Then again, if they're wait a minute. If it's an auto host, would they see this? I don't know, but either way, thank you for dropping by. Say why they took away the possibility to rename monsters. Largely mechanical. I have a feeling that when they were making the stores, that they wanted to that they must have just like locked in themselves with one store. Hi, Spiro. Auto hosts don't get displayed by default now, I think. Oh, okay. Gotcha. See, the technology was there for most games. Like, I'm not sure. Truth be told, I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. So will you be making Undead Undying Rad? Kind of, sort of. More on that in just a moment, actually. Actually, I do have Rad on here. Went for a similar build to that run, too. But yeah, so yeah, I'm not sure why they removed it. I'm assuming that they meant to do it at some point, but they only had 10 slots. It did seem really weird that you could that you had 5 different class options instead of just basic soldiers, so it's very likely that they meant to do other things like they used to, and then they probably just ran into some kind of technical issue and abandoned it. There were a lot of cases throughout the game where it seemed like they were working on a feature and then just like, they're like, okay, we're not going to get this done in time, just throw it out, replace it with something else. I'm assuming that's one of those cases. I don't believe Rakes has mentioned that he's found anything that would indicate exactly why, but if I were to offer a theory, it would probably be that. And yes, Spiro, he's the one with the 100% run, the legend himself. You can remember his you know that crazy look that's on Weegraf's face the entirety of FFT? I just imagine that's what Mr. Foles' face looked like during that run a lot of the time. Getting stuck for hours looking for particular drops. And or that Titus face that was on a lot of the videos. Alright, so with Rad here, I want to point out, I wanted to make him an undead unit, right? I was considering it several times, but then the AI, a lot of the AIs come with Exorcism, and they will really highly prioritize Exorcism. The weird part is, in-game, they almost never do that. But for some reason in the AI arena, when I was testing it, he just, like, got vaporized pretty much every single time immediately, and yeah, he was, I don't know, it just didn't exactly work terribly great. So, kind of went back and forth on it. Also, it prevented him from, I believe it was preventing him from using holy items, which he was using in that run. So ultimately, I just left him with something like this. Alright. Also, I was generally trying to avoid a lot of undead units for the purpose of this thing, because if they don't have an exorcism, it's a way bigger problem than would be considered fair, because the AI is too stupid to think, like, well, you know, I need to go keep them shut down over there. Instead, the AI would think, like, oh yeah, let me just go attack them. Wait a minute, they're back! Let me go attack them again. Wait a minute, they're back! Let me go... like, they'll just permanently get stuck, so... long story short, yeah, that's kind of how that went. So there's Double Hammer Ramza. Delita, I went for kind of a more water theme with him. The Cortana reminded me of the Coral Sword a lot, which I personally always see him with. Yes, you could argue that the Damask Sword looks more similar to that. I don't know. I see the Cortana. I think like this looks like it's from FFT. Seal of Wards because he was really good against casters. Damascus, Titania, and Heater because it kind of looks similar to his getup. No magic learn there, but he does learn his. He does come with weapon skills. So max TP 4, so he's gonna get some better damage out of those finishers. His skill starts at rank 1. Again, everybody starts at rank 1. This is just for the sake of letting them build up throughout the fight. By the time they can even use a finisher, they're usually at least rank 5. So we should see some more stuff out of that. Jump 1, because he's always jumping around. Parry, because, well, I always seem to see him using... I think he spawned in with Weapon Guard, one of them. I just know that I always saw him guarding the Knights of the Waterfall like crazy. Hang on, let me move one little UI element over here. There we go. To never doubt, or never ever doubt we play a stable build. Yeah, that's the thing, though. Apparently, when they were data mining the game, it's a miracle that the base game itself runs it all. Like, it's amazing how friggin' like how much stuff they got in there. Like, especially the development time, especially how niche of a title it is. Like, apparently it was like they got a bunch of people together that otherwise, you know, wouldn't have gotten involved. They really poured their heart and soul into it, and it shows, but it's like, dang, it's no surprise that there's as many gaps as there were. Like you were saying, there's only like 3 or 4 big bugs, so it's kind of a miracle. Let's see, Matsuno loves to burn a lot of development money brainstorming. Titus was required to warn the viewers for grinding. Gotcha. The absolute most fun you can have on a video game, FT with defense stats, blasphemy. Whatever. They'll survive. Actually, what I meant to do is have this guy with, why didn't I have him with, offense armor? Because I meant to just have him doing a crap load of damage. Yeah, you know what? Screw it. Over armor. The nice thing is, with what I'm really loving with the mod right now is even if you have, like, full endgame items, they're going to be slightly better at a certain thing. But they're not necessarily going to be completely busted. It's like right here with the Ogre armor here, Breed Suspicion just, well, it just causes an enemy not to heal. It's not the end of the world. Augment Darkness won't even help him. Steadfast, whatever. So the Ogre armor is just kind of the end, like the top of the line for like strength armor. So like over here with your Dynamo Plate and stuff like that, it's basically giving them the same bonuses. The Ogre armor gives you 3 higher strength than this, and then what's this one? 45. So 11 higher defense than Dynamo, which is basically the equivalent of Worm Scale. It's like the side period of Worm Scale. So, you know, it's not that huge of a thing, but it's part of a set. So I can actually use the Ogre stuff without completely breaking the game. It's great. The Ogre team is almost a pact. Yeah, I wish they'd come back together, but I guess they're all retiring now, so that's not super likely. Yeah, I think for Delita, I want to try and give him something a little bit different. Like, you know, let's give him some Falcon Mail. It just looks more like his actual armor. Kind of want to give him a Worm Scale helm too. Just it'll lower his accuracy, but I mean, he's a tough boy. I think the worm scale looks kind of more like him, you know? Matches his set a little bit. Is there a heavy shield we can give him? The Aegis would be a bit much. I mean, the Zephyr maybe, but then he's not using a heavy shield anymore, but that would improve his avoidance a good bit. Shame they're aging. Yeah, why haven't they invented some way for them to not age? Solve that problem right away. There we go, Rosary Shield. He's supposed to be all religious, right? So for Agrius, I of course had to give her the Stasis Blade. It had to be done. It's a big old heavy hitter, one of the heavier weapons in the game. Earl Whale Mail and some Balder for a bit of resilience. Reaver Ring, because I don't know if anybody else did this, but personally I always had her with Time Mage as her secondary ability. Let's see, by the way, yeah, you gotta get going. Well, that sucks. That sucks. Alright, well, thank you for stopping by. Good to see you here. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you at the AI tournament stream this coming week. Like, for this thing, I'm just going over and just making everybody into teams, seeing if anybody has any objections and all that kind of thing, and yeah. So we'll see how that goes. And by the way, hello, Mr. Cow. Sorry I missed it earlier. So yeah, for Agrius here, I have Steel Stance, because she comes in with Defend sometimes. Counter Hit, because of course she needs counter. Max TP 4 to improve her abilities with her finishers. Attack 2 to get to those finishers faster, and then Two-Handed Swords, because, you know, the Stasis Blade. She has to use her own reference. I should point out, even though Olin is here, ultimately I didn't actually end up using him for this team. The problem is, he has the skill, like, he has Galaxy Stop, right? The AI, and Rakes apparently tried to get this fixed, but apparently it's just questionable whether the AI can possibly figure it out. The AI doesn't really have a means to use this skill at all. The only way that this skill even exists is because of a thing that's actually okay. The only time that it's ever used in game is because of a script. Basically, Galaxy Stop is taking the full map-wide effect that comes from Gamp's like "you just killed my pets" move. So if you've never played that part, for those that are here from other games or whatnot, basically if you kill off one of his griffins or his cockatrice, it's like, oh man, how dare you, and then he gets super pissed and then goes all Dragon Ball on everybody, and then usually he just puts a map-wide debuff and then heals himself to full health. So he basically took that effect where it's a map-wide target, and then combined it with Bind, Shackle, Stop from Virtuous Dance, or not Virtuous Dance, but the other one, the other dance move. So one of the fairy moves, and then locked it at 60%. So it's basically, I think this one, or was this one 25? I don't know, one of those. Either way, Bind, Shackle, and Stop on the entire map to essentially kind of to create Galaxy Stop in this one. It's a very high TP move, but yeah, the AI will try to use it because it looks at it and says, hey, I have the points, I have the skill, and then it'll target the entire map and then go, nah, I don't know what to do with this, and then just do nothing. So ultimately, he didn't end up getting used. Instead, we've got Boko here. He's a mascot. He gets to do stuff. So yeah. What was I getting at here? Actually, wait, this isn't even the right save file. Because I have the FFT team already done. One moment. Right, didn't I? I think so. I think so. Yeah, you can tell it's been a while that I've been working on these. So yeah, despite the fact that Olin has that skill, he's not going to end up using it. All right, let's go ahead and view these real quick. So he's here with his light coat. He's here with all that stuff. Orlando coming in with a Khalid Bold. Rhyme Hue kind of looks like looks like Stasis Blade when it's used. So figured that was pretty fitting. Dynamo Plate because he can't be pushed backwards. Thunder Fist because he is the Thunder God. Terror Knight because he's terrifying, and also because it kind of looks like his armor underneath the hood and all that. Drain Heart because you know, gotta have his health drain move. I'm pretty sure nobody ever used any other move on him aside from very specific circumstances. So Boko's just there to be fast. All right, we'll just tilt this up a little bit. Just notice a little bit of movement there in the background. Alright. What? It's getting all musical over here. Hey, how's it going with that? Yeah? You making music? How's it going? Did you finish your snack? Did you forget where you put your snack? We forgot where we put our snack. Okay. Oh, you need your Elmo? Okay. Let's get you that Elmo. How's your brother doing? Alright. There you go. What do you say? You're welcome. Okay. Okay. So, what else was I going on here? So, Mustadio, obviously got to be a Fusilier. Skill-wise, he was supposed to be going for Field Alk, but they've lost access to Field Alk 1 now. So, you know, Sharpshoot, because he Sharpshoots. Most of his other stuff is going to come from his finishers. And I'm being ordered to go get more snacks, so I will be right back. It'll be just a moment. Hello! Alright, let's move on with this whole thing here. So, what's going on about Mustadio here? So, I wanted, again, to give him traps and everything. I was considering making him a ranger for a good while. But, ultimately just ended up going for this. Mostly because with the ranger, he doesn't get his sharpshoot abilities, which I think more people use them for. Plus, there were already a lot of rangers being used. So, decided not to go for that. So, for Beowulf here, I know there is a Spellblade already, but I went for a Warlock with him. So went for Katana's on him, Civil Ward, all that kind of thing. Come to think about, why didn't I go for... Oh yeah, Instill Power and Instill Remedy. I think that's why. I'm just giving him some of these other moves here. And then Race, who was given Thunder Breath here through her 2 Tyranno scales. Yes, she has 2 unique weapons. Don't question it. And then Hellforge, just to get on Mad-like. Seal of Intellect, so she gets more out of those breath attacks. I think they scale off Intelligence, otherwise I'm going to feel real stupid. Augment Lightning, just so she gets better and better with her lightning abilities there. Overpower, because she's a dragon. And yeah, Catnap, Feral Remedy, and Empower Beast for just kind of boosting Boko over here. So there's that. Rad is another one that's rebuilt from the Cerebon mod. So he was given the Longingness as kind of as a replacement for the Zodiac Spear. Since this is arguably one of the better one-handed spears, but either way. Dread Shield as that zombie shield, Titanium Mail, just to have some heavy armor on him. Scout Leggings for the purposes of, no. We are going back and we are remaking that. Why on earth do I have Scout Leggings on him? Like, it's for the extra jump, but he already has infinite jump. As in, he has an ability that lets him have an infinite jump. So whatever, we'll just go ahead and correct that right away. But if you can think of any other corrections you'd like to see for the FFT team, please go ahead and let me know so that we can go ahead and do so. Because, yeah, definitely feels like this team needs corrections. I feel like I've already done some of this stuff is the thing. Couldn't tell you why exactly I made some of those choices. Though bear in mind, this is kind of what's going to happen when you're making them at like 2 a.m. waiting for a baby to eat. It's like, let's think of the most out there references we can think of, huh? Let's make it all work somehow. But yeah, the last time that they went through some test fights, I felt like this team needed a few little buffs anyway. Right. Yeah, Orlando was fine. He did plenty of damage. Actually, the Kraken Ring works pretty alright for him. Works pretty alright, but you know what? No, we'll give him something else here. We need something lightning related. I don't suppose this thing's... No, that's ice. What does the Thunder Sword look like? I'm not actually sure. There is a Thunder two-hander. There's a scaling, a damage scaling move off of Thunder. I know that. There's the Sigmund. Yeah, that's a pretty sharp drop in power. If you're wondering why, by the way, the Sigmund is a basic variant, whereas the Khalid Bolg, I believe, is a... No. Interesting. Why is that? Oh, it's only like a 30 drop in attack. Never mind. It's only it's only about a 30 drop. It's fine. It's fine. It makes sense. It's because the Khalid Bolg's unique. Yeah, we'll just leave him with that. Alright, anyway, skill-wise, Bash, because, they'd probably get a hit back real good. Clarity, Efficacy for being able to use Drain Heart whenever he wants to. Two-handed Swords, Dark Magic, and Overpower. Now, the reason I gave him Clarity and Efficacy there, obviously none of them are particularly lacking for skill slots. I didn't go out of my way to fill out every single skill slot. In fact, I tried to use as few of them as possible in order to make sure to try to focus on as many references as possible rather than building towards any kind